The four Mahavakyas, great statements of Hinduism, summarize the essence of Dharmic faiths. These Mahavakyas were often used in contemplative meditations, nidhdhyasanas, to realize the true nature of being. Each of these statements is associated with a Dharmic text, and you can see a flow even in their order of appearance. The first Mahavakya we will look at is Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman. This is a sweeping assertion that says all of conscious awareness is Brahman, the Supreme Absolute, the infinite consciousness. The Mahavakya, Prajnanam Brahma, appears in this particular verse of the Aitreya Upanishad, which is a Vedantic text associated with the Rig Veda. Sarvam tat prajnanetram prajnano pratishtam prajnanetro lokah prajna pratishta prajnanam brahma. So in this verse, when the Upanishad says Sarvam tat prajnanetram, it actually calls all that exists prajnana netram. Prajnanam is conscious awareness and netram is what it is led by. Prajnana netram refers to this guiding principle of manifestation. So this prajnana is the Brahman. Initially, the Brahman is in the unmanifest state, abhyakta. In this state, it is indescribable and without attributes. The Brahman, by various transformations, manifests itself into infinite shapes and forms. And of course, in this process, these manifestations are cloaked by ahamkara, the ego principle, which gives rise to the notion of the self. Adi Shankara, in his commentary to this verse, affirms that the self is a spark of the infinite, the Brahman. All this is the transformation of the Brahman. The self is the living principle, the spark of the Supreme Absolute in all. With this single small statement, the Mahavakya tells us the true nature of reality. The next Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi. I am the Brahman. Now, this is a very popular one, and it appears in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad associated with the Yajurveda. This statement identifies the self with the Supreme Absolute. It declares, I am the Brahman. But here, the I should not be taken as the ego principle. Ancient saints did not run around proclaiming Aham Brahmasmi for material gains. The actual verse states that all that existed initially was the Brahman, and then goes on to say that the self, cloaked by ahamkara, the ego, is in a state of avidya, in ignorance of the true nature of the self. It states that all those who have realized that the self is indeed Brahman become the Brahman. That is, they know the true nature of reality and attain the state of Sat Chit Ananda, pure consciousness bliss. Again, the ancient saints were not egoistic people declaring I am the Brahman. These are people who have transcended the material, those who have no interest in the game. Whoever realizes that the self is the Brahman moves onwards towards attaining this state of Sat Chit Ananda. Aham Brahmasmi is not an egoistic declaration, which is why the next Mahavakya says Tattvam Asi, that thou art, or more simply, that you are. This states unequivocally that you and everything else are of the same essence, a spark of the infinite. This Mahavakya appears in the Chandogya Upanishad associated with the Samaveda. This Mahavakya was often used as a teaching technique to transmit the knowledge of the self by teachers to students. In fact, this appears in a section of the Chandogya Upanishad as a conversation between sage Uddalaka and his son Swetaketu. Uddalaka tells Swetaketu that there is only one single reality in this world, and that reality appears to be many because of the different names and forms superimposed on this one single reality. He tells his son to understand this truth, the true nature of reality. So Uddalaka tells Shvetaketu, Sa ya yeshoni maitadatmayam idam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi Shvetaketo. That which is the subtle essence of all is the self. All this has got that as the self. That is the truth that thou art, O Shvetaketu. The essence is universal, and that is what Tattvamasi means. Many later teachers also use this example. When the disciple would ask about perceived differences, they would always respond with Tattvamasi, that thou art. So by using this Mahavakya, all the perceived differentiation ceases. The fourth Mahavakya is very simple and direct. I am Atma Brahma. The Atman, the self, is the Brahman. And this statement appears in the Mandukya Upanishad, which we have already looked at, associated with the Atharva Veda. The Mandukya Upanishad talks about the four states of consciousness and declares that in reality, Turiya is the only state of being and everything else is just a projection. And right away, in the second statement, the Mandukya Upanishad declares that the Atman and all this is indeed a part of the Brahman. So, this is the summary of the four Mahavakyas. And as mentioned, these Mahavakyas were often used as nidhdhyasanas by ancient saints. By contemplating on these statements, the saints progressed on their path towards liberation. As always, the known is a drop and the unknown an ocean. Peace.